Hey guys. Well, this month I have a bit of an oddity for you. This is a new member of the Geek Palace, an nCUBE 2. nCUBE existed in 1985, or rather it began in 1985 by a couple of Intel engineers who decided they were going to corner the massively parallel market. This is, as the name would suggest, the second model in the lineup. Although the one before it was the nCUBE 10. Helpful, isn't it, when they do that? nCUBE only got through a couple of major systems. I think the last one was the nCUBE 3, before they moved on to doing huge video-on-demand systems. This system I picked up from a chap in Indiana a couple of weeks ago. It was originally at Purdue, along with its host processor here. Unfortunately, I have a friend that actually works at Purdue, and the department that this was attached to no longer exists. So not only do I have it as an oddity as a machine, because they are quite uncommon, but I don't know jack about it. I really don't. So I guess this is a general plea to the YouTube masses. If anybody knows anything substantial about it, I would sure like to hear from you. What I do know. Well, it's an attractive beast, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the chap before me kind of tipped it over on his stairs, so you can see the front here is broken. There's a great logo. Okay, slides open here, and we have an I/O card, and then a processor card. And all these green things here are LEDs, so hopefully like a connection machine, when it's functioning, they all light up very attractively. On the back we have, and these are a bunch of buttons. And they're supposed to have little coloured covers, which presumably at one point told you what they did, but the chap before me, when he was bringing it down into his basement, down the stairs it slipped over backwards and went skating down on its bum and tore off the covers to these switches. Now, according to him, he's actually had it running even after this damage, but for the life of me I can't get it to do squat. However, I might not be quite there yet. This is the connector for the interface cable to the host processor. These are the ports. The first one just comes to these buttons here, but you can hook up multiple chassis, and they would go here. Back plane. These huge big power straps here that go to the power supplies, which are in this section here. The way it works is the cube of it refers to a hypercube, which is how all of the CPU modules are connected. And if you connect multiple chassis, they continue this hypercube layout, which ensures the least amount of distance between processor to processor. For example, with my SGIs, if you want to hook two racks together, instead of just going, cable to cable and calling it connected, you go top to bottom, bottom to top, bottom to top, and that ensures that they have, and top to top, sorry, they have the minimum distance from a processor in this chassis to a processor in that chassis, or that chassis, or that chassis. If because the system is shared across all the processors and all of the memory, more specifically, if this processor, node board 2, processor 2, has to pull something from RAM in this machine, it doesn't want to have to go from here to here to here, because that's going to take longer. So you want the minimum distance between. Minor sort of footnote in history, I don't know how well known it is, probably better than I'd like to imagine, in some secret. The reason that the Cray 1 and the Cray 2 was in the C shape has nothing to do with it being C for Cray, but because it allowed the wires in between the towers to be of the shortest length and still reach everything, thus the lowest latency. Pull the board out, and you can see that what it sure as hell is not short on is processors. This machine, for this alone, was totally worth the drive to Indiana. I think this is absolutely stunningly beautiful. There are 64 processors on this board, and then there's a single processor on the host board here. Now, the host I/O board is used primarily to, as my understanding goes, again, I know about as much as anybody from internet searches, unfortunately. It's primarily used to ensure the communication with the host processor, and it can also allow a high-speed bus to the other chassis and disk arrays. Something about 96-way striping over disks, which sounds extremely exciting. Given that this machine is from 1989, I bet the disk subsystems that could allow 96-way striping must have been big, both physically and really noisy. Anyways, each of these processors is a 20 megahertz. Let me get my little cheat sheet of paper here. 25 megahertz. Each module has 16 megs of RAM. And there's my damn cat that's going to annoy us all day long. So why don't you give me a second? I'm going to get rid of that fucking cat. Right, where was I? It's, middle of December here in Iowa, and it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like minus 15 degrees Celsius. So it's damn cold out here. The cats are kind of pissed. Anyway, where were we? 25 megahertz, 60 mega RAM. Each board, or each module, ran its own microkernel, something called NCX. The system, as I said before, was laid out in a hypercube. It was possible to, this is 64 processors. It was possible to hook up to 4,096 processors into a single system, which is pretty extraordinary. Apparently the largest system, however, ever made was 10,024 processor, which at the time in Sandia was pushing 1.9 gigaflops. So again, for 1989, I mean, it boggles the brain. It's really extraordinary. These are, although they do run microkernels and are programmable in C and various other programming languages, they do require the host system, which without it, it's completely useless. I am lucky that this is the original host system for this machine. Not only does it have the, I'm going to try and fight and turn it around, but two of the wheels are busted on this thing. There we go. So not only do I have the special nCUBE branded interface cable and card, but it has the software on it that includes the drivers and the kernel to talk to the system, and the ability to upload the software and the actual OS itself. Now, I haven't managed to get it fully running yet. The very first computer that I ever collected in my apparently never-ending quest was one of these. This is a Sun 4470, and they've always sort of had a soft place in my heart since then. This machine will boot. I have gotten it to the stage where it'll run and it'll come into Sun OS, but it all goes pear-shaped most of the way through the kernel bring up. So what I need to do is make sure that, actually what I need to do is pop the disks out, find something I can stick the disks in, and read the disks off so I have a permanent archived copy. Because for all I know, this might be the last one left that's in running condition. I don't know. This is the part where you guys come in. I don't know squat about this. I mean, I'm running this stuff off of Wikipedia and a couple of friends online, and that's it. I haven't managed to find anybody particularly knowledgeable about the system. I have hopefully still all of the software. It should be on here. According to the previous owner, he had got it running, but since, what this is really good for is throwing a math problem loaded into all the processors and then just throw huge amounts of data at it, he didn't know what to set it to do, so that was as far as he got. Even with the software, it would be nice to know a little bit more about it. The nCUBE Corporation was one of the Larry Ellison Kiss of Death system companies. It was bought in 2000 by C-Core and then in 2005 by Aris. They bought it for the video on demand stuff. So any of the instructions or... Oh, look, there's a lovely big screw there. I didn't even see that. Doesn't go all the way through though. See, I told you, I'm still in it. Huh. There's a thread there. I've been having problems putting this back in, so that might explain it. I'm going to have to check in on that one. Where the hell was I? Oh, right. So because the company's been bought and sold, and mostly for the video on demand stuff rather than these, the chance of documentation still existing are slim to none. So if anybody out there knows anything about them, knows somebody who knows anything about them, has documentation they could scan or software, boy, I'd sure like to hear from you. Well, anyway, there is the nCUBE 2, possibly the last of a kind. And there's my cell phone, of course, just to absolutely make the day perfect. Because, you know, the cats weren't enough. And I can't turn it off. There it goes. And, boy, this is a cack-handed video. You guys have got my apologies. I'll try and get something to the 4470 to you next time. And along with the 4470, I got a box of spares. Got some VME memory, processor boards, and interface cards. And then I got a rack mount son and a 4670 MP, which is the multiprocessor version of this system, which is very exciting. So unfortunately the other two machines are a hell of a lot more finicky, but this one does run. So I'll get something to you on that. Anyways, I know, kind of quick, kind of odd, not much useful information. Hopefully you guys can help me out. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, everybody.